So I haven't felt this way since I was 20 years old. I just feel great. I have all this energy.
I absolutely feel like a new person.
It's brand new. I'm like looking at life with a new pair of eyes, you know. It's great.
Name's Addison Thompson. I live in Miro, Louisiana. That's in St. Bernard Parish. I'm retired from the New Orleans Police Department in the United States Army. About 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. I met with several doctors, and they all said the same thing, that, you know, it was irreversible, very, very unsuccessful in treatment. And it was being treated by a physician, and he prescribed a whole bunch of medicines, and little or no effect. I had tremors constantly. I tripped, unsteady on my feet. I couldn't eat with a fork. I had to eat with a spoon, everything. My peripheral vision, I always saw images in my peripheral vision. And I was real unsteady on my feet. I didn't get much sleep. So I just about gave up. One day I was sitting in a restaurant with a friend of mine who owns the restaurant, and he noticed that I had to eat with a spoon, and my tremors were awfully bad at that time. And he said, "Would you like to try something?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And he brought me over to Dr. Menier's clinic, and I started receiving 1,000 milligrams of NAD. Well, Charles didn't think I was going to show up at the clinic, so he told me, he said, "Why don't I drive you there?" So we went together, and I met with Dr. Menier. He took down a medical history on me, and I started taking, I think at that time it was 1,000, and within an hour, I was reading a book with the intravenous drip, and Charles says, "Put the book down." This was within an hour of the treatment. I put the book down. He said, "Look at your hands. You don't have tremors any longer." And they sold me right then and on that. Well, my tremors stopped almost immediately. I quit stumbling. I quit drooling at night. My peripheral vision was perfect then. I saw no more images on my peripheral vision. Some of the other things that done, it just makes you feel wonderful. You feel like you feel younger. I'm almost 80 years old, and I feel like I'm 60. It's remarkable. If there is a miracle, this has got to prove it is.
A nurse in the field of addiction for the past 7 years. The detox process is unbelievable. I've seen opiates, benzo addicts, alcoholics, amphetamine users, all of the above detox in a outpatient setting with minimal discomfort.
I'm on day 7 and I haven't felt like this in 12, 13 years.
People who are so debilitated, who come in ultimately so stressed, just in the period of 10 days, become new human. I mean, become new people. It's unbelievable to see them become just someone else. I don't, or what they used to be prior to 20 years of drug usage. There's no words that you can put to describe it.
I was on painkillers for 12, 13 years and pretty much convinced myself I was nocturnal, and since I've been on this, I have a normal sleeping habit. I was really happy about that. I find myself singing to myself. I've never done that. Just real positive attitude since about day 3. Everything just started spinning around. When I came here and they were telling me you think better and see colors clear, and I was like, yeah, and I'll have super speed and flight and won't be bothered by kryptonite. And then I kind of kicked myself because I was wrong and they were right, and this has actually been a real turning point for me. I don't know how to praise this any more than that.
The agony is not there in the actual detoxing, but the end result is even more beautiful, and that is that you get clarity of mind like you've never ever experienced if you have a long-term addiction.
My mind is clearer than it's been in 30 years. I'm 63 years old, My mind is clearer than it's ever been in 30 years.
And the third day, he was like, I don't want pills anymore. I have no desire. And then day 4, and he was like, I could see his personality coming back. You know, because pills will do that. Whatever, alcohol, whatever you take, it will change your personality.
Talking today about a revolutionary new therapy, or is it new? I guess. How long has this been going on, Ann, with this?
First actually introduced in 1961.
There you go. I had that feeling.
Yeah, and it was introduced for the treatment of schizophrenia and drug addiction originally. It was patented, and since then it was used extensively by the South Africans for quite a many years for all kinds of conditions, from chronic fatigue to just every kind of health condition. It's sort of taken on a life of being an anti-aging type of treatment.
Give us a nutshell of what the therapy is about and how it works and what it does for people.
The treatment is given by infusion, by IV, and the Dr. Medier and Paula Medier in Louisiana were using this treatment for quite a few years for the treatment of addiction, because it rapidly can detox someone off of any kind of drug or alcohol with minimal withdrawal, for one, and then eliminate their cravings in a very short period of time. So they started with this treatment doing a 10-day protocol for addiction, and it evolved into discovering that it was incredibly effective because of the effect of restoring the brain, not just detoxing, but actually delivering someone into a state of extreme clarity and well-being in a 10-day period. They discovered that it was amazingly useful for anxiety, stress, depression, and just focus, concentration, focus. So the applications are expanding on how to use it. So we do a 4-day for stress, anxiety, PTSD, and depression, and then a 10-day for detox.
So I'd be one of your 4-day people.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. Well, many people want to do 10 just because they want to get the full.
I never developed any addictions, but my other family members did. And my a rich experience with that, and that's what causes the rapid restoration of the brain. Or
yeah, I'm not sure we can say that we know every biochemical process of how it works, but it does seem to replenish the energy in the cell, and the cell uses that to repair. For alcoholics, their liver enzymes have normalized in just a few days. For people on heroin or opiates or any kind of addictive drug, they're able to come off those drugs very rapidly and smoothly, and more importantly, they're able to actually feel good, feel happy, feel well. And that's something that's been missing from a lot of the addiction treatments.
Yeah, I have to say I've never seen testimonials so passionate and enthusiastic as I've seen on your website. People come over to the website and take a look at that.
It's a lot of times people will go through a treatment or recovery and they'll get rid of the drug, but they still either have cravings or they don't feel good.
Or they're depressed,
They don't feel themselves still. And so there's always an opening to go back because they want to self-medicate and feel good. If they do replenish their brain, sometimes it's as if they've reversed to before they've ever even used drugs. So they feel, and it's so liberating to actually feel like you have the energy to do the things in your life that you always hoped you could do or would do.
Hi everyone, David D'Arcangelo, CEO of Nectar 7. I'm here today because they asked me to explain what NAD, what's the big brouhaha on NAD and how it can potentially get you closer to 100% of your mental and physical capabilities. Those are my words. They're asking me to take the science people's techniques and really broil them down so they're at a really level we can all understand. So stay with me. So why is NAD so important? NAD is important because when you're born, which is ground zero, day one, your NAD level is really high. NAD is a communication molecule, if you're wondering. So it's in all your cells in your body. It provides great communication. So what happens when you have a bad relationship? There's bad communication and the relationship goes bad. So you want good communication in all of the cells of your body, and there's trillions of cells and they're replicating every second. So wait a second, so you're born, NAD level is really high. Why is that important? Because a lot of the enzymatic reactions, gene repair in the middle of the night, collagen production, a lot of the major enzymatic reactions in your body are dependent on NAD. That NAD pool is flush, it's huge in the beginning. But then wait a second, by the time you're 20, it goes down 50%. In the next 20 years at 40, it goes down another 50%. So what happens? I'm 60 years old. I'm not 40. I'm out here at 12.5% of what I started with at 100. Why is that important and critical for me? Because as it goes down, all of those enzymatic reactions are fighting over a dwindling supply of NAD. They can't function. Your cells can't function as well with bad communications. And as they're replicating new cells, they're decaying. Illness, disease, and death. Science has said that if we could just drive this NAD up, the communication molecule in our cells, we could potentially delay aging. You could perform at a higher level mentally and physically because your mitochondria, which are in your cells taking direction from the nucleus, wait a second, will have all the communication that it needs to drive and produce energy. And isn't that what you want? In other words, and let me just a footnote. What are the two most dense organs in your body with mitochondria? Your brain and your heart. Do you want great communication in all of those cells with all those mitochondria, or do you want bad relationship communication? You want great communication because you want to operate extremely well. You want to be 40, 50 years old, 60-year-old and put 10 or 20 years in the middle of your life and extend your life instead of adding on 10 or 20 at the end when they're not so good. So if you take an NAD stimulator, as science says, if we could stimulate this NAD, and there's never been a vehicle, never been a product until now, that could drive, instead of driving your NAD down from 0 to 60 and beyond. But wait a second, in a human trial last year, they showed that after 8 hours and 1 dose of an NAD stimulator, which we have in Nectar-7 and Nectar-7 Niacin and collagen, and Nectar-7 Niacin, it drove it up after 8 hours. Your NAD was up about 33%. Compelling. All of a sudden, instead of everybody fighting over a declining pool of NAD and getting lethargic, aging, producing unhealthier cells, illness, disease, and death, you're driving your health and performance. Your mental and physical acuity are phenomenal. You feel great, and you have the power to do what you need to do to be the best you can be. you.